Hey, okay, so here's your Starseed reading. So what we're going to do is look at where you were, what you did with the majority of your time, a couple of important days again, with relationships and feelings involved, again, death, lesson learned, and usually, we have the time card over here. We're going to flip that based on where we're going. So with the Starseed readings, it can be on Earth, but usually it's not the plane, the earthly plane as we know it. Usually this is off planet. Other realm, other dimension, that kind of thing. We're looking at an aspect of you that is typically non-human. This can also be in forms of different shapes and colors, energies, or other kinds of beings as well. Just keep that in mind. Make connections where you can. Don't force anything. Things might sound kind of strange because I don't know what comes through, because there are things, there are very typical ideas of what starseeds are, but then there are many that we don't know that we don't even know. You know what I mean? So whatever is coming through is relevant. Now let me tell you how this started out. First of all, the song, The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music, was coming through, but it wasn't so much the words, it was the melodies. And I also work with, when music comes through, lyrics or melodies or whatever comes through, all the senses are open. So what I've gleaned from that so far before we jump into this, or as part of this, is with you, I feel like we, if for example, if you are wondering if you have any spiritual gifts, perhaps you're very aware that you have gifts, but it feels like there is something about what you might consider or call, what people call clairaudience, that is hearing. This can also be that you may be wanting to look into working with sound therapy. That can come in many forms. That can be anything from more spiritual sound therapies like crystal bowls, chanting, mantras, vibrational kinds of sounds, to therapies that are more like, for lack of a better word, real world, like 3D world, which is like speech pathology and audio, whatever, like that kind of thing. Like there's such a vast array that has to do with healing and sound. And I feel like there's something here about that for you. And I feel like it would be coming from this aspect we're looking at. Almost like I want to say that this being that we're looking at is a vibrational frequency of sound that we would consider healing if we heard it. But this being, your aspect here, is the vibration itself. So it's almost like I want to say this being is a semi physical form, almost like that, like kind of like Casper, Casper the Friendly Ghost, how you can like see him and he looks kind of solid but looks kind of sheer, but not quite it's not like you can't touch this aspect. You can touch it, it's physical, but there's something about it that is less physical because of the higher vibrational frequency, which means less density. So we're looking at a less dense being, which can mean in your current life, if you have ever felt kind of stuck in your body, stuck in your skin, weighed down, and that doesn't necessarily mean overweight. It could, but it's more about weighed down, like wanting to fly, wanting to float, wanting to feel something different than what it feels like just to walk on our feet on the ground, pulled by gravity like we are. If that makes sense. I know it's kind of random and weird, but bear with me, and whatever you don't connect, tuck in the back of your mind for a later time. But that's the feeling here, is that there's something about this is such high vibration that it's a bit of a floaty feel in a good way. Not floaty like it's not grounded, not floaty like flighty, but floaty as in just light and airy, which means that when we get this kind of energy, a lot of times being on Earth can seem very burdensome and very heavy. So if you feel like you carry a burden, a weight, like an invisible weight, sure, it could be like the stress of the world is on your shoulders. That's the kind of weight we're kind of feeling, but it might not be the stress of the world on your shoulders. It might literally be you are in a human body and you are feeling the density of gravity more than this aspect here, which is very light. But this also, what I'm getting from this existence, whatever planet we're looking at, whatever realm we're looking at here, these people literally vibrate sound. So it's almost like, for the best way to put it for you, it's like every being here has their own theme song, in a sense, except it would be like an ambient melodic thing that would be kind of etheric. It would be like a walking, like, oh, have you ever heard of the meditations where you can find a meditation where it's set at a certain frequency, like what is it, like 432 hertz is like the love frequency or whatever it might be. And if you're not sure about that, go Google it. Google the different frequencies, like the love frequency and the compassion frequency, the grace frequency, the gratitude frequency. Like Google different frequencies and you'll see what I mean. So it's like these aspects are literally, again, like they're like walking frequencies of ambient sound. So that could also mean that you might do well listening to ambiance, like musical, melodic, etheric, angelic, ambient type of music to get into a good place in your mind rather than silence. You know, like some people can just sit and meditate in silence, and that's good. You know, I'm not saying don't try that or don't do that if you like it, but you might be able to go to a place, so to speak, in your mind, in your body, in your energy that you never have felt if you find the right frequency or hertz level, or you know what I mean, like try the different ones like an experiment. Try an experiment. You're a scientist, do a sound experiment on yourself and see how you feel. For example, what's coming to mind is my own personal experience. Like listening to binaural beats don't really do it for me. For a lot of people, it's like so awesome and they rave about it. But for me, it's like, you know, it doesn't do anything, except I finally listened to something called the Schumann resonance, and it's the resonance of planet Earth. And it did something. It felt different. It zoned me out. It was cool and different, and you know, like it made an impact. So what I'm saying is for you to do an experiment to see what frequency might work for you and see where that takes you, because as I'm talking, it feels like if you find the right frequency that aligns with the frequency of your aspect here, it might be able to, I want to say, reawaken some information, truths, memories, just more inner things that come from this place and bring it through to you in the here and now. And how that is, I'm not sure about like what language you use, but like there's a thing called downloads. Maybe you know what downloads are. It's like, you know, information. You get downloads from spirit, we'll say, or from your star family, or whatever it might be. It comes in the forms of inspiration, ideas, that kind of thing. And it feels like if you do this, you might get downloads from this aspect of you, which I feel is still in existence, because time is an illusion, right? So your soul, your consciousness is experiencing all of these different lifetimes at the same time. And it feels like if you do these experiments and you find the right frequency for you, you can tap into this aspect. And I feel like there's something in this aspect that is very serene, very, I want to say like ascended, enlightened, and there's like it's an inner peace kind of feel. It's a enlightened inner peace kind of feel. So if that's what you're moving towards, try that experiment. It might be kind of fun. But let's go ahead and move. What's interesting is this card pops up again. It's the teacher card. This keeps popping up. So this feels like whatever you're doing here, like your purpose, and also I feel like having to do with this sound, it will be helpful for other people as well. It's like you can impart your wisdom onto others, but you have to do the work yourself. But it's not hard work. It's just that it is diligent work. Like you have to have intention. And again, this is only if you connect. So here's the thing. If this doesn't sound interesting to you and you're not connecting right now, you're going to want to tuck this in the back of your mind for later time, because we go through phases. And if not now, there's going to be a time when you're going to be hit with a feeling, a pull, a tug that has to do with sound. And in fact, I would say if you haven't yet, go try going to a sound bowl therapy, sound therapy, like a bowl, a crystal bowl, meditative gathering, and see how that makes you feel. Like just try out different things like that. But it feels like this aspect of you has information, we'll say, that you can download, tap into, that you can share with others in a way that's very healing. And I also want to say, this kind of teaching isn't necessarily the kind of teaching where you're like, come gather and I will teach you my wisdom. It can be, but more so this feels like once you tap into this aspect and with the sound, the frequency, and you understand the frequency, like you get it, the one that works for you, the one that makes you feel, it can make you feel buzzy in a good way. It can make you feel high, you know what I mean? Like naturally high. It can make you feel floaty, not flighty, but floaty. That's the feeling we're going for. And what's going to happen is when you tap into that and you simply just go on with your life, walking around during your day, doing what you do, you will be containing the energy of this higher density being. And you will be emitting energy around you to the people around you. And it's going to affect people in ways you won't even be able to know, and in ways that they won't be able to really understand how all of a sudden they feel better, how all of a sudden they don't have headaches anymore, how all of a sudden they are more patient, how all of a sudden they don't let things bother them so much anymore. And you're going to feel those effects too. It's going to be about tapping into, I want to say this energy, we'll say the starseed energy, or in other words, we can say your original energy, even though it's not like your origin, you know. But this is a very cool thing that hasn't come through for me before with these readings, which this is very cool. Now, as I'm speaking though, the way that your energy can affect others around you makes me think of this book that I read, one of the very first books I read when I got into all of this, called The 3 Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth by Dolores Cannon. And she's actually one of my teachers for one of my modalities that I use for past life regression. But if you look up the 3 waves of volunteers and the New Earth, you will understand more about how some people were born here to simply be and simply go about their day in the energy that they have, to emit the energy they have to affect other people around them, to raise the vibration on the planet. And I feel like that is part of this as well. Basically, I want to say you're part of New Earth, period. You're part of New Earth, period. And if you don't know what New Earth is, please go look it up. Look it up. This is telling me that from this life here, you chose to come from this high density to be part of this timeline that you're in right now here on Earth, to raise the vibration for the New Earth. Part of your purpose, big purpose. So just in case you've been wondering too, hey, what's my purpose? You know, we can have many purposes. That's one of them. So that's another way that you can be a teacher, is by imparting your energy upon others. And it doesn't have to be directly in the way that we think of direct teaching. It could be indirect teaching. Okay? But this is also, as a teacher, so too do you learn. And what we're talking about here is you learning a heck of a lot about yourself, but just in a different, on a different level, on a different dimension, a different headspace, a different mindset, a different reality that you can also walk beside your current reality as well in this world, you know, this 3D world that, you know, you pay bills in and stuff, like being a normal person too. It's very, very doable and possible. And I also feel like this would be a lot of fun for you too, in the case that you find that you are missing fun or not giving yourself enough play. This kind of experiment and digging in and discovering about yourself will be very fun and very interesting. I think it'll get the juices flowing, so to speak. So yeah, so just connect where you can with that. We're gonna go to a first important day here. Hey, okay, I think I fixed the clarity on the video. Sorry about that before. But what we want to talk about, okay, first important day here is the Mother Nature card. Then we have the soul group card, which we saw before. So the soul group card is your soul groupies, your people, your tribe, your community. Here it feels like we're talking about the people. The people, all the people, not just a group of friends, the people, like your people, like all similar, all very high vibe, higher density, not a lot of turmoil, for lack of better words, which is interesting because the Mother Nature card talks about natural disaster, which can be external or internal. Now here is gratitude. So this is really, really interesting. What we're seeing here is kind of like a lesson. I kind of want to say the message that's coming through first, rather than like the day. What we're looking at here is the feeling of confusion, or the feeling of making a choice or a decision that has never been made before. It's like a first time for something, and it's a first time for feeling a certain way. And the reaction to that isn't fear, it's gratitude, because it's a new experience to learn from. And that's what us humans have trouble with. Us humans, because we are born with an ego, which an ego is not an enemy. It's not our enemy. It, you know, it serves a purpose, and a really good one. But what we're trying to do as a collective consciousness of humans is, as we evolve, we are trying to see that any hardships that we come across, any confusion, anything new, scary, different, we're trying to make it so that our reactions change from initially fear-based, to initially anything but fear-based, like curiosity or interest or excitement, or in this case, gratitude. That's a long way to go for us, for, you know, all of a sudden for humans to be grateful for something like to be surprised by something new that they don't know the outcome of, and to be grateful for it right away because they understand that it's just simply a new experience for their soul to experience, and they signed up for this experience as a soul contract. So I'm so grateful this soul contract is coming around now, even though I'm surprised and I didn't see it coming. You see what I mean? Like, that is like, that's, I would say, no one or hardly anyone's initial reaction to something like that as a human being on planet Earth right now. But that's what we're working towards, and we really can't all do that together. It takes one person at a time working on themselves. So here we're seeing the Mother Nature card because this is speaking to internal natural disaster, and I say disaster with quotes because a disaster is implying something awful, but really we're looking at internal conflict. This is a day of internal conflict amidst the community. And what this feels like is, it feels like there is a calling. And bear in mind where I am right now, so to speak, in my headspace, where they're placing me, this world I'm seeing, this aspect when I tap into this. Sometimes it's beyond my means because I'm only human, so I can only articulate what is closest to what I know as a human. You know what I mean? So what this feels like is akin to, as though it's almost like if humans all of a sudden heard a megaphone coming from the sky saying, "Hey humans, you've evolved so much in the past millennia. There's another place that we need your intellect and your heart and your emotions and your compassion. And this other place requires you to give up your body as a human here on Earth, and your consciousness is going to travel to this new place so that you can help make this new place thrive and beautiful like your planet." And this is like, you know, in the future, if our planet became ideal and we beautified it instead of killing it, you know, like that kind of thing. Does this make sense? I hope this makes sense. So it feels like on this day there is a massive calling, even though it's not like a megaphone from the sky. It's like an internal massive calling of these beings to, like, heed the call. If you feel the urge, you feel the pull, which is their intuition, because we can use your beautiful energy to come to this place to help raise the vibration of the new Earth. And I feel like you were in the community that decided to go, and that's your soul group. And so the people who are in your timeline right now that you connect with in a way where they speak your language, they make you feel at peace, they make you feel at home, they make you feel comfortable, people you can meet right away and you just feel like you're just comfortable with them, like it's your people. They are very likely from this place as well. And these people, it's also the sound place. So I almost want to say, maybe go ahead and really do try to like sign up for, like, see where you're pulled, and don't force anything, but see if you find a sound therapy or even like a group, like chants, even like a concert, but a concert that is for music that is melodic and beautiful and heart-based, not like something that would be heavy or metallic or hard on the body, so to speak. More something that's more heart-based. I don't know how else to put it. It's like that kind of thing. Like, go to a gathering that pulls you in that way, and I feel like you will find your people there. Like you'll bump into someone, you'll strike up a conversation. It might even be the kind of thing where like someone spills a drink on you by accident, and they give you a napkin and you fall into conversation, and it's going to be a soul family. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Nothing's by coincidence, but you don't want to force it. Just start looking around. Instead, you're going to be surprised. See what comes across your radar that has to do with music. If you've even thought about taking up an instrument, or it can even be the kind of thing where like for example, like, I don't know if you have kids, but like, let's say you have kids and they take up an instrument, and then you drop them off at the lesson and you meet another parent of their kid who's taking the same instrument class, and and that's another one of your soul. But you know what I mean? Like, you never know. So that's why it's so important that you follow your intuition and keep your like radar open. And it's not about like actively seeking it out. That's kind of like forcing it. You just want to like go about your day and just be open and allow yourself to keep your ears open. And I want to say, let your focus fall where there is beautiful ambiance. And literally, and as I'm saying this, I'm even saying waterfalls can be music, right? Trickling water can be music. Rain can be music. So this is not like so narrow that I'm talking about just music. Like, open your mind to what that can be. And I feel like that's also coming through in the case that you need to redefine things in your life in order for you to have a more open life. Like what happiness means to you, what success means to you, what abundance means to you. You have the ability, you alone have the ability to narrate your own life, so you can write and rewrite your own rule book, your definitions of what things mean to you. You know what I mean? It just gives you so much more sovereignty over your life. But in the case of this, what we're talking about, just be open and see what happens serendipitously. You don't have to force anything with this kind of thing, but be open to who you might meet along the way. And what's going to happen is you're just going to have a quick little flicker of a thought, like, oh, can that be? You think? Could they? Like that kind of thing? And it could very well be. And your job is really not to do anything except to just be aware of it and acknowledge it. And then maybe you'll make new friends. Maybe you'll make lifelong friends. Maybe you'll just have a really great conversation that you'll never forget, but you'll never see them again. You know what I mean? So just be open to the kind of interactions that are going to be coming your way, especially after a reading like this, okay? Now I want to finish this day out just with this gratitude card, what we talked about before, because that is important to take stock of how you react to certain things. And if you want to, I mean, in a nutshell, like I'm using very simple language, but if you want to be happier in various aspects of your life, it all comes down to how you react and understanding that you have the power to pause and react differently. And if you could bring yourself to come to a place where you're grateful for a hardship, grateful for an experience. And I say grateful for a hardship, not like, yay, give me more, not like that, but like grateful, like, okay, here's a hardship. And then you pause and you're like, okay, there is an experience happening right now. I signed up for this. What am I supposed to be learning? There's gratitude in that versus, oh man, what a pain in the butt. This is happening. You know what I mean? It's a different vibration. So just food for thought, process that. And we're going to go to the next important day. Down here we have the Wowzer card, which is one of my favorite cards. It's a day of like, aha, it's a day of just like unbelievable. It's surreal. It's something that you've never seen or expected or would anticipate. The relationship here is the spouse card, and the feeling here is a lonely card. So it's the feelings of lonely. So what's super interesting here, as tapping into this over here, what I was talking about before, where time's an illusion and we are experiencing various aspects of our lives. Our consciousness is experiencing various things. We're just focused here. Like humans can only focus here. Other beings can focus in multiple formats. And again, you can like, I would actually encourage you to read up on this. Dolores Cannon is a great resource, but there are other resources about that concept. It's kind of convoluted and it is quantum physics, but it is very interesting. But that said, this day is a day when we see your consciousness ebbing out of this density, this planet, this reality, this realm, and it's flowing into the new density, which is a lower density. When I say that, I mean human, flowing into a human existence. So there's almost like a bridge happening. So it's like your consciousness is bridging into humanity, and it's ebbing out of this density, and it is so different than what you anticipated. It's overwhelming. It's surprising. It's unexpected, unanticipated, and this is the first time where the gratitude reaction is lacking. It's like you're like, wait, why am I feeling different? And it's because your consciousness is attaching to a lower density mindset where gratitude is not the immediate reaction. Rather, this lonely card, you are experiencing, this is a big deal. You're experiencing separation for the first time. So you're experiencing what it's like to be separate from, for lack of better words, God for the first time. So we can use God, source energy, creative energy, spirit, whatever you want to use the word for that the source energy that we all come from and that we're all connected to, you know? It's the same energy, just different words, but you're flowing out of this high density that is always connected, and that's why it's so easy to be grateful for whatever comes along, because you are certain of the connection. But then you flow into this low density earthly plane of a human mind, and you cut the knowledge, you cut the knowing of that connection, and feel the separation illusion for the first time, because we're never separated. We're not in spirit and energy. We are all connected to each other, to God, to source, to flow, to energy, creative, whatever you want to call it. We're always connected. But the knowingness of it is so hard to come by. And the illusion of separation is so easy to believe in. And the separation illusion is also propagated by religion and our upbringing and what we're taught and how we feel, our emotions, you know. And maybe you've heard of the veil. You know, we're born with the veil. The veil is the thing that separates us from spirit. And that's why like kids can still like talk to ghosts, because the veil thickens as we get older. And then we can't see anymore. Many people stop, I guess, playing with those imaginary friends, you know what I mean? But you can always get back to it. It just takes practice, belief system. You have to deprogram yourself, all that stuff. Anyway, this is incredibly interesting because we are literally seeing the illusion of separation kind of like, I want to say, what's the word, creeping into your consciousness, and you never expected that. And you're realizing how hard this is gonna be. And it doesn't mean that you in your current timeline, like right now, it doesn't mean that you're a somber person. You can be a really like happy-go-lucky person and laugh a lot and have a great, a great time and have fun. But the separation is still there. The knowing of the connection is nothing like it was here. But yet, because of where you come from, here, up here, where the knowing and the gratitude and the connection was, there, it is still in you. It is part of your consciousness and part of your soul. And I feel like that is why this is coming up, to just remind you that there is no separation. And this is also true even for like when, let's say you're in love with someone and they have to commute to work long distance, or maybe they have to go live somewhere else for a while to help take care of someone, or whatever it may be, where we see the literal physical separation and it feels like we're separated, but then you know that there's love there, and that love is the non-separation. It's just with our senses, our outer senses, that we see and believe in the illusion of a separation, but really it's not. So this is a message of tapping into that knowing and the love, because if it's a heart-based connection, you know the love is there. Love doesn't die. Love doesn't separate. So however that might connect with you to help you in any way, whether now or coming up, trust that separation is an illusion. Even if that has to be a mantra or an affirmation for you, separation is an illusion. We are always connected. And this could even be for someone who has passed away that you love dearly. Or it could be for someone that you know their time is coming to pass near, And that's a really good affirmation to have, to remember that there is no separation. Whether alive or dead, it's spirit, it's energy, there is no separation. Separation is an illusion. So this is a very interesting time happening right here. But anyway, keep making connections. I do want to explain the spouse card though. It's because it feels like it's not spouse in the way that we think of spouse. This is a love-based connection that stayed here, and when you bridge into the human form, this is the first taste of separation, because you know better. You know that your consciousness is there's still a part of your consciousness living here too. I know this is very abstract and convoluted. I'm trying to articulate this the best I can. I'm so sorry. There's still a piece of you here, and people that you love here, and specifically a partner. They chose to stay. You chose to help out with this new earth thing. And that is the first separation you felt, was of the partner. So it's almost like in your current life, if you ever feel like you're missing someone that you don't even know who you're missing, that kind of, and I know it's, again, random and abstract. If you've ever had that feeling, you miss someone that you don't even know, that's this. And if you don't feel that, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Tuck in the back of your mind for a later time. But that's what's coming through here, okay? So keep making connections where you can. Understand that you are never alone, even if you feel lonely. Loneliness, feeling alone, is the illusion, because you're feeling a separation, but you're always connected. So yes, keep making connections here, and we're going to go to the death card. So this card here is the disease and illness card. So what's very interesting is this is not a death. This bridging of consciousness from this higher density planet or plane or realm or reality to the lower density, earthly kind of thing, this place, that's not the death we're talking about. We're actually not talking about a death occurring, quite frankly. We're talking about the concept of dying, and how here, again, death here is viewed very differently. Death here is a choice, and it is almost like a dissipation or transformation of energy into a different form of energy. There's not a disease or illness to deal with, and when one chooses to transform their energy to a different energy, there's no sadness because there's no separation. There's no illusion of separation here. Bridging over to the human mind, we have all of these forms where people can die in various ways. And when they pass, how we view it, because we are such visceral creatures, we view it as separating. They're separating from us. They're leaving us. They're gone. That's an illusion. It's an illusion. So disease and illness, it's part of the human illusion. So if someone you know, let's say, is sick and dying, or has been sick and died, or in the future at some point dies of an illness, sickness, age, even age is an illness to us humans. We even consider it that. It's all an illusion. It's part of this game, this earth game. And if you're able to see past that, you can find peace in it, knowing that there is no separation. You're just viewing an illusion taking place in the form of a disease, an illness, aging, the process of dying, which can be quite traumatic. It's not saying that it doesn't affect us. Just because it's an illusion doesn't mean it doesn't affect us. But when you're aware of it, then you have power over it. And that also gives you power over your reaction to it and how you allow it to affect you, as far as how much of the trauma you take into you, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's the message that wants to come through with this. Overall, the message is, don't get sucked into an illusion. Don't get sucked into the illusions, and also look into it, read about it, learn about it. For that, I would say look into Neil Walsh, Neil something Walsh. He wrote the books called Conversations with God and Communion with God, and it's not a religious thing, but it talks about illusions in such a way that it's just very clear. Like how he writes it, he articulates it so beautifully. It's so helpful and lovely. And I think you might, if you haven't already heard of the books or read the books, I feel like that's coming up for a reason, and I would highly recommend you look into it. Maybe even as your first step towards anything, is pick up one of those books. Okay? So keep making connections to that. And the lesson is the let go card. And I'm telling you, this lesson, it has to do with letting go of the illusions, letting go of the illusion of separation. And when you start a practice, anything you can do to become aware of when you are giving in to an illusion, of when you are being deceived by an illusion, which there are many. Fear is an illusion, you know? But when you become aware of it more and more, that's a practice. That's a spiritual practice. That's enlightenment, because that's leading you towards the truth of union, of non-separation, that there is no separation. And the closer you can get to that, and you know, with our human mind, I don't know if we really can truly wrap our heads around it 100%. But when you get to a place that you can be at peace with the idea as much as possible, that levels you up. And when you level up, that opens you up to so much, to various gifts, to various insights, to various truths. That also is the kind of thing that allows you to teach others and help others in various ways as well, that you never saw coming. So that's where I feel the let go card comes in, is there may be some belief systems that you hold right now, and Some things, as far as I think we talked about, even certain energies around you that you know might be stagnant or limiting you, that you need to let go of. So there might be some things in your life right now where you need to learn to start to let go of them, letting go of certain beliefs that might be limiting you, letting go of certain energies that might be limiting you, whatever it may be. And on the other side of that, because it's not easy, that's not easy. But on the other side of that is how do I put this? Rewards unlike you can imagine. And I can guarantee that. Personal experience and helping others, the rewards are unimaginable. The feelings are inexplicable. It's worth it. So connect with the let go card however you can too. And anyway, there is your Starseed reading. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're able to make some connections. And thanks for letting me read you.